What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having a good day as always. My name is Anomaly. You can follow me on Instagram at DreamRare. You can follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. And before we get into it, I'm going to just talk about the Parkland shooting. I'm going to wrap it up. I don't really want to talk about it forever. I don't want to talk about it much more, but I want to talk about what happened, how we could actually solve it, and all the stuff that the media isn't saying. Because what bothers me so much is not the politics behind it. It's not the fact that, everybody fights and argues from their side. My problem is that with almost everything, they pretty much skirt accountability away. They get people to argue. They divide the entire country. And they never actually get to the root of the problem and create a real solution that will actually help children. Of course, I want to help children. Of course, I want to help the country. I want to stop violence. But if we never get to the root of the problem, we're never going to be able to do that. So that's really why I make these videos and why I'm going to weigh in today for a last time. And then I'm completely, I'm going to get off the topic and move on to other things. So thank you guys for joining. I'm going to wait about 20 seconds for people to get into this live stream. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at DreamRare. Follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. If you'd like to check out my website, it's got all my links. It's legendary.vision. Legendary.vision. You just type that in the search bar. You can find it. Shirts and hats at dreamrare.com. I haven't really even said that link in a while. And yeah, you could email me or message me on here if you'd like. But let's wait about 10, 20 more seconds. And I really don't like talking about tragedies. I don't like negativity. And, I don't like the fact that the media just kind of goes off, for a week and everybody starts screaming after massacres. But I do really want to just make one more final video, wrap things up, and then hopefully move on to other stuff that's not so negative and divisive. So first of all, as everybody knows, with this school shooting, this kid took an Uber to the school and, shot a bunch of people and then got arrested. And the media, of course, like always, they come straight out the gate and they're just putting little kids on television that are 16, 17-year-old Democratic Party kids. And they're saying if you question them that you're a terrible person, and how dare you, question a little kid, that school just got shot up, and of course we need gun control and gun reform. But it's just not a full circle. And I would honestly, I know this is going to upset some people on both sides or whatever. I'm personally not a big fan of guns. I'm just not a fan, and if you are, that's great. If you're not, that's cool. But I'm also, like I say a lot, I'm also not a complete idiot. I'm not a moron. I don't let my emotions get the best of me and just start screaming obscenities and things that don't get a solution. Of course, I get upset sometimes, but, I usually come to my senses at some point where there's a multifaceted problem going on in this country. There's a multifaceted problem going on with the Parkland shooting, and I'm sorry, but I just can't respect or believe anybody that doesn't talk about all the sides. And this is what the Democratic Party has done. And I've never voted Republican. I don't care about them, per se. But I'm just being honest. The people that act like they're the heroes, and I talk about them the most because they run the media. They run social media. They run Twitter. They run Google. They control the minds of the masses because they are the media. They are the mass media. And they hold the narrative for every single story. That's why I talk about them. I don't trust any of them, because they're all liars. I don't know a nicer way to put it. They only take one little small part of the problem, and you could say Republicans do it too, and other people do it too, for sure, with a lot of topics. That's why, I don't follow their news stations either. But they're strictly saying we need gun reform, we need gun control. Here's the little kid to tell you need gun control, and that's the whole story. I can't respect it because I know it's mainstream knowledge that the FBI got a tip on this guy. They knew about him. They had knowledge about him. They had multiple warnings about him, and they decided to do nothing. So for me, integrity is a lot. Respect and trust, that's everything. If I can't trust you as a politician or a news source, what's the point? If I know you're actively lying to me, if I know you're actively pushing an agenda, if I know you're actively willing to close your eyes and just spew out complete nonsense and garbage that you know is not going to help just so you can push your policies across, I don't trust you. And that's almost all media. Because even if you're going to push for gun control, if you're going to say, hey, we need gun reform now, I can respect that if you truly believe that we do need gun reform. If you're also going to say, hey, I think we need gun reform, and this will help the kids. But also, I think, the FBI needs to step their game up. And if they get a tip on a guy who shoots up a school, and if everybody knows about it, it would be nice if we can get those two things together. We can do that, and then we can get them to do their jobs a little more, because they kind of dropped the ball here. But they never do that, and that's why I'm never going to vote for them again. That's why I know they are the party of complete frauds and fabricated liars who don't care about anything, because they never look at the whole circle. All they want to do is push their agenda, and I know this for several reasons. When it comes to gun control, I've said this many times because it's the truth, they had a filibuster-proof government for a long time. The Republicans have never had it. The Democrats had it in the 1970s or 80s, I'm not quite sure exactly when, and they had it during the Obama administration. All of this ranting and raving and screaming for these gun control policies that they want to push so bad, and they're concerned so much about the lives, why don't they take self-responsibility? Because when they had the government, they could have pushed these policies, and if they truly believe that these policies would have prevented all of these kids' deaths, then they are to blame because they didn't push the gun control across. They don't care about the gun control reform. If they did, they would have passed it. They had a filibuster-proof Congress and Senate, which is very, very rare, doesn't happen a lot, and is a huge blessing to you if you want to push your policy across. They didn't do it. They don't care about gun reform, just like they don't care about immigration. Chuck Schumer sounded like Donald Trump 5 years ago. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama sounded like Donald Trump 5 years ago. Now all of a sudden they act like they're the saviors of the government when they were saying the same exact things and did absolutely nothing. So I don't trust them because they don't talk about the full circle problem. And if you notice, that's the difference between a real person who's trying to solve things and the difference between a politician. Even Bernie Sanders, he seemed authentic, but now he just repeats the same 5 talking points over and over and over because he doesn't actually care about anything. He doesn't care about internet censorship. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care that they're using this Russia scare to pretty much censor anybody telling the truth. He wants to push his policies across. That's what a politician does. They don't care about people. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about facts and evidence. They have an agenda to push, and that's all that they care about. And it's obvious with this because they're not even mentioning the fact that the FBI had a tip on this guy. So at least if you want to gain my trust, you got to say, I believe in this, I believe in this, I believe in this, I believe in this. They don't do that. It's a one-trick pony. It's push, 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 vote for us, vote for us, vote for us. Why would we vote for you when you had control of everything and you didn't push the gun control legislation? Why should we believe all of a sudden now you're going to do all this stuff when you never did it? And this is why they get away with anything, because no one ever holds them accountable. It's a ping pong game. Republicans, Democrats, back and forth. John McCain, Barack Obama, they've been playing this game left and right, sending people back and forth for, a couple centuries now, and nobody seems to notice. And that's why people ask why I criticize the Democratic Party and the left so much. Multiple reasons. One is because they own the entire media, and I'm more about philosophy and psychology than I am politics. I know how important the media is, how much control it has, and I know the power of controlling your mind, body, and soul, which is what they don't want you to do. So they have massive influence in the media, which is unquestionably way higher. Facebook, Twitter, Google, almost every single television station except for Fox News. And another reason that I criticize the Democrats more than the Republicans is because now with President Trump, the Republican side and the conservative side and even the Christian, the Bible Belt Christian side, they're waking up to the reality of things. They're realizing that the two-party system is a trap. They know that Republicans are phonies. They actually have a title for it. They call them rhinos, which means Republican in name only, and they're calling out the Republican Party. They're calling out John McCain and Mitt Romney and all of these people. The supporters of President Trump, even if Trump says something, they will go against it. They will know when he's lying, and they hold him accountable. The media says the Trump supporters are really, really dumb and they're the dumbest people on the planet and they're all racist, sexist, xenophobic. What I've analyzed from analyzing the left and the right is Trump supporters have become a lot more open-minded and smarter than the liberal movement, because the liberal movement has been mind-controlled and brainwashed by these corporate media sites who aren't really liberals or left-leaning. They're just posing. So the Republicans and the Trump supporters have a name for corrupt Republicans. The Democrats and a lot of liberals, besides the progressive Bernie Sanders wing who realizes something's wrong. They know that the Democrats are lying. They realize that Bernie Sanders is lying now. I at least give them credit where credit's due because they do realize that something's up and they have a name for fake Democrats. But the average liberal is so mind-controlled and foolish that all they know is how to get exploited by tragedies. And every time something happens, they're like, we gotta vote. And then you tell them that the Democratic Party's corrupt and lying to them and that they had a filibuster-proof Congress that they didn't do anything about. Then they freak out at you and call you Russian or right-wing or sexist or, you're such a terrible person because you don't, get stacked up in lies to me. So that's why I criticize the left, because I'm a friend. I'm trying to get you to wake up. The right, the conservatives have woken up ridiculously. They're more pro-LGBT than the left is now. I mean, the Republicans have people like Milo who are leading the way. Meanwhile, the left is stuck on this thing where they don't want to take any self-accountability and self-responsibility. So if you want to really know anything about me, besides the fact that I enjoy philosophy and psychology more than I enjoy politics, I actually don't like politics at all. A lot of this stuff I don't even really enjoy doing, unfortunately, but I do enjoy helping people and, getting the right message out there. But I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a very, mind, body, soul, control yourself, manifest things, law of attraction. Like, that's who I am. I'm very, very spiritual, and I'm very, very spiritually sound. And the opposite of any sort of spirituality, and any, you read any books like Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle or Taoism or Buddhism or a lot of the main religions, that people study and support. One of the biggest, rules that they all have, and one of the biggest similarities that they all have are two things. Is one, self-accountability and self-responsibility. Michael Jackson said it. A lot of the greats said it. Change yourself to change the world. You have to focus within, and your whole world will change. If you want to help everybody, you have to help yourself first. And the second thing is living in the present moment, not deflecting to the past, not saying anomaly, but what do you think about George Bush, and how come you don't talk about Fox News in 1995, and why don't we talk about 1940? And living in the future. Oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Living in the present moment is the most powerful thing you can do. Taking self-accountability and self-responsibility is one of the most powerful things you can do. And that's why I'm very popular among conservatives and Republicans nowadays, is because that's one thing that they actually understand more than liberals. Unfortunately, I wish it were different. I thought liberals were the spiritual woke ones, but apparently not, because conservatives and Republicans, they're all about self-accountability. They're all about self-responsibility. And the critic would say too much. Everyone's not going to do everything. The government needs to help and social programs need to help. But you're not making your case when you have no self-accountability and no self-responsibility. Yes, I think there should be a balance. Yes, I think people can help people, and changing yourself isn't going to do everything. But the Democratic Party and the liberal media, they have no self-accountability and no self-responsibility. All that they know how to do is deflect blame. That's all they do. For this entire election, they spent $1.2 billion. They picked the most unlikable candidates, so unlikable that even against all the media scrutiny, President Trump, who was very much hated among many people, still won the election. He won because Hillary Clinton is disgraceful and nobody likes her. He won because they don't have an ounce of self-accountability and honesty and integrity, and they don't even try. And they don't have to try because liberals are so mind-controlled that they think, it's Republicans' fault, and we don't have to learn, and we don't have to change, and it's not the kids' fault, and it's not the FBI's fault, and it's nobody's fault, it's the NRA's fault. And if anybody disagrees with me, you're a terrorist. The NRA are terrorists, and Republicans are terrorists, and conservatives are terrorists. I wish I was exaggerating or joking, but this is what mainstream liberal celebrities are saying. I mean, how embarrassing. How low do you have to go until you look in the mirror and realize, yes, some sort of reform possibly could help, but what's the point of telling everyone to vote Democrat when the Democrats were in power and they didn't change the laws that they're saying that they're going to change? And this is my main problem with the left and the media and the Democratic Party now, is they have 0% self-accountability, they have 0% self-responsibility, they have 0% integrity, they have 0% honesty, they are 100% agenda. So yes, regardless of what you think about gun reform or guns or conservatism or liberalism, is it not blatantly obvious yet why President Trump won? Is it not blatantly obvious now why the Republicans are winning? It's not because they're the greatest thing ever, but when you have a pile of crap and you have like a human being, the human being's going to win every single time. President Trump's not perfect. He's clearly very flawed. But when you put him up to a pile of nothing, a pile of absolute smoke and air and complete fakeness propped up by Facebook, Twitter, Google, and all the mainstream media, people aren't buying it anymore. And when it comes to these school shootings, there's a full circle that needs to be spoken about if you really want to help it. Do teenagers need to be able to buy assault weapons? No, probably not. Could there probably be some sort of reform that everyone can agree on and that would help? Absolutely, I think there could be. But is it that going to stop everything? Of course it's not. People blew up, a bunch of little kids at an Ariana Grande concert. Who sold that person the bomb? Did someone sell them the bomb? Where did they buy the bomb? Let's make bombs illegal. Bombs already are illegal, but bad people are going to do bad things, and you're not going to be able to stop them. That's why there's acid attacks in London, there's rapes in Sweden, and there's bombings in Europe all the time, because it's illegal, but people are still, unfortunately, are mentally ill and disturbed and extremists and radicals, and will do that anyway. There was, a car attack in Nice that killed 80 people or something, Who sold that person the car? Well, probably a car salesman, because cars are legal, but do they tell you to kill a bunch of people with your car? No. Does it stop people from doing it because it's illegal? No. Who sold the terrorists the planes on 9/11? Who gave them the planes? Did someone sell them to them? We need to make planes illegal and crashing planes. It is illegal. But people still commit mass atrocities, unfortunately. I'm not saying there can't be some sort of reform, but acting like banning it, like screaming at everyone and calling them terrorists just because they don't agree with your reform policies seems a little bit ridiculous when you're not pointing out all of the elements of why people do things and what's going to stop them, because it's never going to stop if you don't take a full circle. Why does no politician, including most Republicans, and especially no Democrats, why don't they talk about mental health in this country? Why don't they talk about the fact that from 1950 until now, you could see a direct relation in, ridiculous pharmaceutical pills being, given to people. The fact that they used to have 10 or 20 mental illnesses and now they have 10,000. It's like, if you have like a creative personality, you're bipolar, and you're ADHD, and if you're like if you get happy and sad, you're bipolar, and like they have a disability for everything just so they can sell you pharmaceutical pills. Are some people, do they need pills, and are they helpful to people? Absolutely. But are there tens of millions of people, especially kids, being fed, equivalents to cocaine and heroin and opiates for pretty much no reason? Absolutely. Don't you think that has some sort of mental and stability effect on a human being? Of course, but the news is not going to talk about that, because most politicians on the left and the right are sold out to the pharmaceutical industry. So nobody's going to talk about the real root, because they don't actually care about helping anybody. They don't care about gun reform, because they had the chance to actually pass gun reform, and they didn't, because when they're in power, they're not thinking about helping you. I wish they were, honestly. They're not thinking about helping kids. I wish they were, but they're thinking about how they could stay in power and all the things that they can do and all the money that they can, extort out of people. They never cared about gun reform then, so I'm hard-pressed to think that they actually care about it now. And the media absolutely uses kids, and they use tragedy to push their political agenda. I don't even think that's debatable. I mean, it's not a conspiracy. It's not. Just look at what they do. Like I said, I had mentioned there was a church shooting in Tennessee where the guy was held up by a guy. He got pistol whipped by the guy. He ran back to his truck, got his gun, held him up until the police came, and only 1 or 2 people died. And, several people were injured. He probably saved dozens of people that day. Where are the kids on the television? How come those kids aren't on CNN to say, man, this guy with the firearms saved my life in Tennessee? And all of the times it happens all the time. Like I said, I'm not personally a fan of guns, but you're never going to see that on the television, because they don't care about helping kids. They don't care about kids' opinions. They find Democratic Party kids to go up there and push their agenda of vote for us and vote us in, and maybe we'll change the law that we didn't change 4 or 5 years ago because we didn't actually care. And people continuously fall for it. And they want to get upset with me and call me Fox News, even though I never talk about Fox News. I don't watch Fox News, and I don't reference Fox News. I never post Fox News. I've never once posted Breitbart. But I'm a big bad guy for telling you the truth. This is why the Democratic Party keeps losing why would you want to vote somebody in that are just complete liars? And I'm not saying Republicans are better, but at least the conservative movement in America, the mainstream conservative movement, they know that Republicans are liars. They know that Democrats are liars. They know there's a two-party system. They know there's a shadow entity that basically controls things and frustrated that they don't have power. They know that it's a whole global agenda going on between multiple countries. So it's a no-brainer to me what to talk about. The right, who actually understands that it's all a setup now, or the left, who thinks that big bad Donald Trump did everything wrong in the country, and once we impeach Donald Trump, it'll be all better because Mike Pence will make a better president. I mean, nothing that they push makes sense. And if you take a second to move take your emotions aside and take all of this mainstream media nonsense aside, you might just realize that there's nothing there. There's no logic. There's no common sense. If you really want to help these kids, you're not going to get it by just calling everyone a terrorist, calling the NRA a terrorist, because one kid committed a bad crime. And like I said, I would be on board with sensible gun reform if you could make a logical argument and say, this is the gun reform, here's how it's going to help, here's how it's not going to hurt the Second Amendment, here's how it's not going to upset some conservatives, here's how you're allowed to do this, and here's how the FBI is going to get better, here's how the schools are going to be more safe. But they never do that. They take all of the blame and they immediately throw it at people who have nothing to do with the incident. I mean, how ridiculous is that? So I can't play along, regardless, even if I agree with some things policy-wise. I just can't get on board this fake train of fake outrage and fake news and using little kids to exploit a tragedy. And then the news says, oh, well, if you disagree with that kid, you're a terrible person because that's a kid that was involved in the incident and you're bad if you don't agree with him. You should let a 17-year-old kid change legislation, and if you don't let this 17-year-old kid influence politicians, where were they for the Tennessee church shooting? How come they didn't talk to those kids? Because they cover that up under the rug. You barely heard anything about that because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to hear the positive stories. They don't want you to hear the kids who don't agree. There's tens of millions of kids and 50+ million people who don't agree with them, but they'll never have them on the television. They go to the same, Southern guy that they probably paid a couple $100s to be like, I like Trump, and I love Trump. And that they just do that over and over. So people are like, oh yeah, everybody's just this guy. It's like, it's not even true. And if you have a Southern accent, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just saying that's what they do to make this idea of, oh, that's how everybody feels. It's not how they feel. And they don't care about the LGBT community. When I go to certain parts of the city, I'm greeted and well respected in the LGBT community. People will come up to me and say, Anamli, I'm gay. I love your videos. I love your analysis. There's a lot of people out here that feel the same way as you. How come those LGBT people aren't on the news? How come the pro-Trump LGBT people, there's millions of them, how come they're not on the news? Because they don't exist. Don't people get it? You only exist, if you're a kid, you only exist if you go along with the Democratic Party. You only exist if you're black, if you go along with the Democratic Party. You're only Latino and you exist if you go along with the Democratic Party. You're only LGBT, you only exist if you go along with the Democratic Party. The second you say anything outside of the bubble of the agenda that they have and that they're trying to push and that they're using social media and mainstream media and music and award shows to influence, the second you go away from that, you don't exist. They don't want to talk to the black people that support Trump because they're actually very intelligent and very articulate and very, very easy to like and believe because they're honest. They lead with honesty and they tell you the truth. So, of course, they're not going to be on the news because black people don't exist who like Trump. And Latino people, even though 30% of Latinos voted for Trump, and my page, sometimes it seems like it's half Latino. I mean, Latino people like the truth. They're not very easily fooled. They don't exist. Like, the only Latino people that exist to the Democratic Party are the illegal alien dreamers or the illegal immigrant dreamers, but not the illegal immigrant dreamers that like Trump. I saw one on a clip that was online. Of course, it was only Fox News that had him on, but he was a very articulate, intelligent, confident, strong, illegal dreamer. And he said, I like Trump more than the Democrats because Trump is actually trying to keep me here. And the Democrats just said they wanted to keep me. until Trump said, hey, I'm going to keep the dreamers. And then all of a sudden the Democrats jumped off ship. So there's even now illegal immigrant dreamers who like President Trump who would never be on the television. So I'm just keeping it real. This is why I go at the left so hard, is because they have no self-accountability and no self-responsibility. And that's like the exact antithesis. That's the exact opposite of my spirituality and my philosophy and my psychology. That's what gave me all of these blessings and all of this opportunity and all of this success. I did it through a spiritual change. I did it through a mental change, a mind shift, through getting more in tune with my mind, body, and soul. I did it from stop pointing the problems at everybody else. This changed my life. I mean, I was always doing pretty well, but I would not be nearly this successful if I was like the Democratic Party, or if I believed the media, or if I acted like the news, or if I, bought into all of that social media nonsense. I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be 50 times less successful. So I'm trying to help people understand what changed my life and what changed a lot of people's life, which is self-responsibility, self-accountability, and stop pointing and blaming your problems at everybody else, and stop deflecting accountability at everybody else. Stop living in the future and stop living in the past and saying, oh man, I used to be better, I could be better, it's all going to happen for me, or somebody's going to find me and someone's going to sign me, and they're sleeping on me, why don't they like me, why aren't anybody helping me? I buckled down, I edit my own videos, I did everything myself, I stopped hating, I stopped blaming, and I focused on myself, and it changed my whole life. So why in the world would I buy into a party platform and a media agenda that is the opposite of that? Because they're trying to ruin your life. They're trying to ruin everybody's life. They don't want solutions. If everything's solved, they don't have a platform anymore, because there's nothing in their platform except use mass tragedies to exploit people for their own political gain, and hate on President Trump and conservatives and Republicans to make people run back into their hands. I'm not saying you have to agree with all Republicans and conservatives. I don't. Anytime I disagree with the Republican Party or the conservative agenda, everybody yells at me. You can check the comments. Everybody screams at me and tells me I'm satanic. So, I get a fair share of it myself sometimes. So I'm not saying to agree with them, but there's nothing there. And I'm trying to get people to realize that, because if you want the left to succeed anymore, you got to look in the mirror and be like, man, we really got to step it up. We need better politicians. We need better Democrats. We need a better media sources. We need a better social media structure. That's what's going to help you win. I'm trying to help you. I mean, it's like two options. It's like either you do that and the left gets better and you're able to compete with the right for the presidency and for the midterm elections, or you turn into this totalitarianism, fascism, 1984 state, psychosis state of pure nonsense, and you just call everyone terrorists and you scream at everybody and you divide the country and you try to ruin everything with no solutions. I mean, why would you want that? Even if you hate Republicans and conservatives and you don't share a single conservative value, do you just want to win? Do you just want to be right and beat the conservatives even if there's no platform or no solutions? I don't know. I want to help kids. I want to stop school shootings and I want to stop mass atrocities. But to do that, and what the media won't tell you, is there's multiple layers to that. There was, in the intel communities, they had a tip on this guy and they didn't act on it. So why would I buy into anybody that won't even mention that? I'm not saying to blame the FBI. I'm sure they're very busy. They do very incredible work. I'm sure there's a lot of patriots and amazing people in the FBI. So God bless the FBI. Much love to the FBI. I don't know, exactly what happened with this school shooter. But if you're not even going to mention that and just throw all the blame at the NRA, you look pretty foolish to me. If you're going to throw all the blame at conservatives and Republicans who very rarely commit gun crimes, to be honest, all of these huge atrocities, they're very rarely those type of people. I'm sure statistically it's less than 10%. You could probably look into it. But in general, why would people want to give up their guns when you're screaming at them, calling them all terrorists? You don't even want them to exist. You don't let them talk on media. You're telling them they're racist, sexist, xenophobic, and Russian for every opinion they have. I mean, what part of that sounds like a compromise? What part of that's oh yeah, I'm totally going to buy into the agenda now because you screamed at me the whole time and made up all this fake stuff about me? I mean, it's not true compromise. And I do want to unite people. I do want a full circle message. And the media also never talks about mental health, because with a lot of these media sources, and especially, especially with Twitter and Facebook, their agenda is mental health. They push mental health on people. They think it's funny to divide the family, to divide people's genders and to divide. And I'm not saying if, regardless of your gender or, sexual preference, I'm not hating on that, not even for a second. But what I am saying is it's a lopsided agenda where they're pandering to the 0.0005% of the population and trying to tell all the little kids, like, don't, to do this, do that, do that. They're pushing an agenda of mental health. And then you have these people on TV who cry on TV and run these late night talk shows, and they act like they're these heroes and, oh, we got to get the Republicans out of office. They're the ones pushing mental health on all their platforms. You go to the commercials, and they have no moral high ground. They have no moral standard. They will sell anything to you, including these ridiculous depression pills that have been, known to cause suicide and a bunch of terrible things and mental instability. They push these pills on you because they don't care about mental health. And clearly, the news, one thing that they don't do is try to make everybody feel accepted in this society. I mean, it's a crazy time to be alive. It's hard. You have to be very strong and persistent to make it in the world. I mean, I work 100-hour weeks, and I've worked for 8 years and, skipped out on vacations to sacrifice my entire life for my dreams and goals. And I'm not even financially crushing it to a high level. I'm scraping by to an extent after all of this work. So I know how hard it is. So what is the news doing? What are the politicians doing to make people feel comfortable in this society? What are they doing to make people feel accepted? Are they uniting people? Are they really helping people with mental issues? Or are they just pretending to for votes? And then they push division, they push hate, they scream at you if you don't agree with them, and if you don't want their policy, they call you all these sort of terrible things, and you're a conspiracy theorist. So in what way, shape, or form are they actually helping people feel comfortable? Because there's people on the left who feel disenfranchised. And a lot of people who believe in socialism and communism, they do it because they feel disenfranchised by the current capitalistic society. And I understand that. Even though I don't agree with socialism or capitalism, and I think it would be a disaster, I get why people would understand that, because they have no faith in the current system. They have no faith in the media system and the school structure. And why should they? What has it ever done for them? It's done nothing but push pills down their throat, lie to them, and divide the whole country and push mental illness on them. And then you have people on the right, of course, who feel disenfranchised, and why wouldn't they? I mean, there's not a single media source besides Fox News on television, including now Comedy Central and ESPN and, all these late night shows. They not only don't want to hear the conservative value, which, to be honest, if I'm going to weigh out, I mean, the conservative movement has self-accountability and self-responsibility. So to me, they're miles ahead of somebody who takes no accountability. But they don't even want them to exist. They laugh when country concerts get shot up. Executives from ABC got fired because she's like, oh, good, it's probably a bunch of Republicans. I mean, it's disgusting stuff. So why would people feel accepted in society? Because pretty much no one's accepted in society unless you agree with the Democratic Party mainstream media agenda, which is in no way, shape, or form helpful to anybody. It's in no way, shape, or form honest, because when they had control of everything, they did nothing of what they're saying. They did exactly what Trump did. They did exactly what Obama did. Obama sounded like Trump until Trump got into office, and then it's all bad. But they don't care about anybody. So I think we could all do a better job on the left and the right to listen to each other, because even if somebody's super far left and super far right, usually the root of your problems and issues and feelings and anger are usually very, very similar. There's a corrupt system. Life is hard. It could be worse. It could be better. And most of the systems and structures in the United States don't really care about anybody. If you're conservative, they don't care about you. And if you're liberal, they don't care about you either. They just might use you every now and then, to put you on the news or use you for a vote every now and then, but they don't actually care about you. They're not trying to save lives of kids. They're not trying to stop school shootings. They're not trying to push these types of legislations. They would have done it if they wanted to do it. And now they act like that just for votes. So I understand the outrage on both sides. I understand that emotions are high, but to wrap it up, I don't trust anybody that doesn't make a full circle approach. Yes, you could talk about gun reform if that's how you feel. Yes, you could talk anti-gun reform and pro-Second Amendment if that's how you feel. Both of those are okay. No, you're not a terrorist if you disagree with somebody. No, the NRA is not a terrorist group just because they don't agree with you. no, it's not going to solve the problem because there's mass atrocities that happen all over the world and in the United States that have nothing to do with whether it's legal and illegal or not, including 9/11, where thousands of people died. And no, it's not legal to hijack a plane, but yes, it happened. And it's hard to prevent anything. There's millions of illegal guns, and they're not going to go anywhere. And people's guns are not going to go away either. I mean, no conservatives are giving up their guns, so it's not happening. And also, mental health is an issue. So I think we should be able to coexist and talk about all of the situations between mental health, the ridiculous pharmacy problem that exacerbates mental health problems in a lot of cases, and as well as just gun legislation. I mean, it's all debatable. It's all worth a topic, but no, just because there's a 15-year-old or 16-year-old or 17-year-old kid who talks on the news like he's Hillary Clinton, and he talks like Chuck Schumer, and he talks like whoever, it doesn't mean everybody has to blindly follow him. And if everybody questions him or criticizes him or doesn't agree with him, they're a horrible person. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. That's how you push further people away from the Democratic Party. That's how you've lost me for life until you guys learn. And there's millions of people in the LGBT community, in the Latino community, white, black, man, woman, transgender, who just aren't buying the Democratic Party anymore. And the only way to really get over it is just to take self-accountability, and they won't do that. They're even trying to go so far as delete videos on YouTube, and they're trying to censor people on Facebook. That's the mind of a psychopath. You can't figure out that you're part of the problem, and you can't even accept that type of responsibility, so you just try to censor and shut down and silence everybody and call people names outside of your little fake bubble. I mean, that's ridiculous, and that's what the Democratic Party is doing, and the media is just the media military arm of the Democratic Party. I mean, I don't know any nicer way to put it, because that's just the truth. I mean, whether you're Democrat or Republican, it is what it is, and it's just getting very, very old. I'm not saying to not have your policies. I'm not saying to be conservative, but take an ounce of self-responsibility, take an ounce of self-accountability, even if it's 5%, up from 0 to 5%, and I will have a little bit of respect for you, and maybe I'll listen to some things you say, and people will tune back into your news networks. But until you do that, you just look foolish, you look ridiculous, you're exploiting kids, you're exploiting tragedies, you think you're a hero and you're saving the world, but you're really just a horrible mind, body, and soul who's just, sludging out toxic waste onto people in the form of fake activism. So if we really want to help the kids and help the country, it's going to do so with compromise, compassion, a real argument, integrity, truth, especially, not a bunch of lies and insults. And I think that will help the kids moving forward. So much love. Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate your presence as always. I'm going to post my links below. If you'd like to sign up to my email list, it is free. Just click on it. It should take 10 seconds. If you would like to support and donate to the news analysis, I appreciate you guys. YouTube is not paying me. Facebook doesn't pay. I'm working on partnerships as always, but to be honest, I spend almost all my time researching and making videos because it's more important than finances to me, is being able to, impact the world in a positive way and get a message out there, which is every single day they're trying to close and close and close and close and close off. They don't want, this perspective, which is very kind, very fair, very honest, and very accurate, and much more kind than most people. They don't even want it to exist. So I'm working very, very hard to push that out. I appreciate the shares, the likes, the comments, and especially the donations that allow me to spend this type of time and also branch out and work on other endeavors to influence the media in a positive light. So thank you guys so much. Have an amazing week, and check the comment section for links. I'll be back.